got Pat Adams Wright, and I'm very excited. I've been buzzing about this for ages, waiting for my turn. So come on, Pat, say hello, introduce yourself.
Hi, UK Book Club. Pat Adams Wright, Halifax, usual northern loss. And that's it, really. I just write books.
You write blooming good books. I don't think good cuts it, really. And I was telling you, now, I've got to be careful, can't give any spoilers.
No.
And we'll get you to, have you got your book covers to show off in a minute?
No, I haven't. Sorry, I was
okay, it's all right. Well, we can go with Calm Fury, that's behind my head.
Yeah.
Book 2 in the Kirsty Savage series.
Yeah.
So, in fact, I've not been practicing, but I think Kaz is like this now. What's Sam gonna do? So here we go. Let's do the conveyor belt that you did the other day. Calm Fury, Kirsty Savage, Book 2. I did it without dropping it on my head, and if you can see, I can't quite get it in the light. But West Yorkshire Police symbol as well. So,
to buy that.
Say again.
I had to buy that.
You had to buy it?
I had to buy it, yeah.
Well, lucky for you, I've bought the rest of them. So there we go. One sale from you and another, 4 from me?
Oh, lovely.
But what we were talking about the other day is how you write really, really good stomach churning scenes.
Thank you.
So.
Well, you'll be glad to know I was writing another one about 10 minutes ago.
Can you tell us anything about it, or are we not there yet?
Well, it's just a continuation of the Kirsty Savage series. It's the usual murder and mayhem. I don't know. Don't ask me how I get there. I just do. I see these videos in my head and off I go, and I don't stop until I write the end.
Fair enough.
It works for me. That's all I can say.
It works for me reading them. But there's a couple of particularly gruesome scenes, and I've purposely picked from quite early on in each book so that I'm not really giving anything away.
Mm-hmm.
The hammer. The hammer.
The hammer in the garage.
Oh, man. And we'll come to the other one once we get into Calm Fury, but I'm just looking now. We're already getting comments in. So, DG himself is here. David Gilchrist says hi.
Oh, hi. Hi, lads. How are you?
And we've got TG. Hello, lovely T, saying good evening, ladies. And Brenda Young. Hi, Pat and Sam. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Brenda. Nice
so I'm getting some comments on. Somebody's watching on YouTube as well. And I know that sometimes Joe Singleton watches on YouTube. So if you're not Joe, please correct me. Please do correct me. But I'm having to look on my phone because we've got... that's not chewing gum, by the way. It's white tack over my camera. It always looks a bit scruffy, that. But white tack over my camera. So that's the start of our...
it's Kaz.
And Jason Keller. It's Kaz on the... Sorry, Kaz.
Oh, Jason, nice to see you. Well, nice for you to be here.
Says greetings. So I'm having to look at who's writing the comments on my phone.
Right.
Right, Jay, straight in there with a question. When did you decide to start writing? It's a good question as well, with a brilliant answer.
It is. I've always written. I always remember having to stand up at school and read out essays and what have you. So I've always written. From being able to read, I've written. I mean, my lifeline when I was a kid was just a pen and a piece of paper, or a pencil and a bit of paper. It allows children, I think, to disappear into a world that they're secure in.
Yeah, that's escapism.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have to be under threat. I mean, I don't ever remember being under threat as a child. but it's just escapism, as you say. It's just a way to, not be here, isn't it? But yeah, from being tiny, that's all I can say.
I'm guessing a lot of people are using it at the moment as well.
Yeah, well, who wouldn't want to escape at the moment? It's just, you've got to do it, haven't you? It's just awful, but patience. It's going to get us all through if we try hard. Yes.
Absolutely. Getting there. Definitely on the downward slope now. I can hear voices in my house. They have been warned. I hope you can't hear them.
No, everything.
David says, how is Halifax this time of the year?
Cold.
Mm.
Very, very cold. I mean, it's the first time today, I think, that we've been above freezing for quite some while. And it's going to stay above freezing tonight, which is unusual. But it looks bleak. It's just, we haven't sprung yet like other places do, nice and early. They've to give us at least a month. Anybody from the middle and downwards, we need at least a month to catch up. Can I just blow my nose and apologise?
Absolutely, of course you can.
As I say,
and while you're doing it, I'm going to say it's not bleak, it's atmospheric. That's what we're going with.
Yes, perhaps I should write about it. Yeah.
There's David said cheese scones sometime in April, question mark.
Oh, the man's a lifesaver. I'm sorry. I found another place to get them, Tesco's. Not a patch on yours, David. Sorry.
Oh, thank goodness. That was the end of that sentence, Pat.
No. There's no parmesan on top. There's no nothing. No, so is way out ahead.
I know Kaz always waves. She always has us jealous in the group chat with what she's having delivered.
Oh, I know. He's a wonderful baker.
Can't wait.
Tell you.
Hopefully, if we get to Harrogate this year, I'm coming home with supplies, I've been told.
Oh, right.
Have to think about which cake I like the best.
Oh, right.
I think it might be scones, though. I do like anything with cheese, so...
Yes, me too. I've got to hold my hand up. I'm more of a savoury person than a sweet person.
Yeah, absolutely. Though, at the minute, I am partial to a biscuit at work. I think I need the sugar. Gonna have to stop doing that, though. It's a slippery slope, isn't it?
It is. I'm afraid it is.
Yeah. He wants to know if any of your characters are true to life. Can you answer this one? I just realised what I've asked you. How about Kirsty? Let's go with Kirsty and Danny for starters. Do they resemble anybody? And then you can decide whether to continue from there.
No. Although, having said no, there is a real Kirsty Savage. I don't know if you're aware of this.
I am not.
Before I started the series, I ran 2 competitions. And I said the one that won the first one, that would be the main character's first name. And then the second one, the second name. Kirsty Savage won both.
I do remember you telling me that, actually.
So, although, to be fair, the book 1 describes probably the real Kirsty Savage as near as I could get it, although she did have a haircut halfway through. But as we've gone along, because so much has happened in the first 2 books, we've had book 3, there's a slight change. So there is a slight change in her appearance and attitude, and you'll understand as the books go on. I can't say any more than that, of course, because so much happens in Calm Fury that it's just a life changer, really. If it happened to anybody in real life, it would be a life changer. So that's what I've made it, a life changer. It seemed only sensible at the time. But
Well,
a character is still there, you know, it's still
good.
solid.
Well, while you've brought up Calm Fury, let's go for the second stomach churning thing. And again, sticking with the beginnings, because I hate spoilers and I would never, ever want to spoil something for somebody else. I
No.
just think they're terrible. They drive me insane. That there's a description, and it's almost directly at the beginning.
It
A
is. Yeah.
description of a woman being strangled, picked up by her neck. I mean, it's quite intense, and you feel your chest constricting as you're reading it. And I'm looking around thinking, just remember, this isn't actually happening to you.
It's a book.
Breathe.
Yeah, it's a
But
book.
it's so good. You're so bad. It's so mean to your readers and your characters.
Well, it's just nice that you can.
I can feel myself doing
get.
it. I said this last time. I can feel my chest getting tight.
It's nice that you can bring that kind of reaction. It's like when you want to convey somebody being upset and somebody cries. I think that what a compliment that is, really. Yeah. I can't think of a better one. I really can't.
Than me sat here breathing deeply to calm myself during the interview, talking about the scene. And we can't go any further with it because there's just so much. There's just so much to it. And there's so many things. I can talk about how Danny doesn't like scene tents.
Doesn't like what?
Scene tents. The
No,
things that are within them.
Well, he's not so bothered about the tent. It's the photographs.
Just what's in. Yeah.
It's the photographs. Because he perceives that as
a continuation.
A continuation for the victim. He knows it's irrational. But he can't stop himself. That's just how he feels.
But you feel that there with him, don't you? You've described it. So I feel like we're talking about somebody that we know. He's having this real problem, and I really want to help him through it.
You.
I'm a big softer.
Yeah, well, she did, didn't she, Kirsty? I mean, that's the one thing that he is grateful for, the fact that she did help him through this. And really, it's a career stopper, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, it could be, absolutely.
You know, a detective that can't be doing with crime scene photographers is just, well, you're out on your ear, aren't you? It just wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to cut it. You really wouldn't. You're back in uniform, aren't you? Well, I would think so. I'm only guessing.
I would imagine so, depending on,
I don't know anything about
very special to work around that, I think.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the police, in all honesty, so...
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Okay. Sit back and take that one in.
No.
Okay.
I have a friend who is a lowly PC and has been since the day she joined. She don't want to go anyhow. She's quite happy being a PC. But she knows nothing of this. Of course, detective stuff is, you know, is all above her. I mean, I've asked a couple of times, do you know anything about, but I know what the answer's going to be. No, not a chance. So, no, I don't. It's all reading, and it's one thing I'm very hot on are the forensics.
Right.
You know, I do a lot of reading about forensics, and I do it with every book because it's coming along so quick that you've practically got to be in front before the book goes out, because otherwise, you know, you lag well behind. Haven't found much this time. There was something about DNA, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, that's all. It's just research, and I suppose watching. I can't say watching TV really. One or two TV series that I like, but they're not. They don't go into detail obviously with it being TV, they can't. So yeah.
Do you research it as you go along then to see that you've got the right thing, or do you wait until you've written it and then go back and check your facts?
No, what I do once I've finished a book, once I've written the end, I go straight on to the next one, whichever that might be. So by the time I've got into my head what I'm going to do, what it's going to be about, who's going to be in it, I then crack on with research. So I might perhaps do another couple of chapters before I do any more. And then once I think I've done enough, away I go. However, if I'm not sure, I'll go back and look again. It's who's it gonna harm if I get it wrong? But I couldn't live with myself. I couldn't, if you know what I mean. If I thought I were giving enough information, no, it wouldn't work. Not for me.
Doesn't sit right with you.
No, wouldn't. Not for a minute.
We have got. I'm just reminded by the scrolling at the side of me that there's an audience. So actually, I'm not just sat here having one of our normal chats.
Oh yeah.
So I better actually dig in. Jason wants to know what authors have been an influence on your writing.
On my writing, now then. This might sound weird. Okay.
I've read your books. I think we're good. Go on.
But Sarah Waters,
okay,
has probably had more influence on my actual writing, as in use of words, rather than anybody else. Obviously, you pick up different things from different writers. You know, Val McDermid, even Joy Ellis, and you know all the ones that are now just coming on.
Yeah.
You know, because I read a lot of new authors as well. So you pick up bits and pieces from them, but actual construction, I would have to go with Sarah Waters probably. I mean, I don't know why I write like I write. I've no idea. I like to put people in my video so that when they read it, they know where I am. They know where it is, where the scene of crime is, where somebody's house is, what it looks like. Yes, I know it's boring for some people, but I really do think it's necessary that people know where you are in the book and who's there and what they look like. And things. I don't know about you, but I read so many and I'm thinking, who's that? Well, what do they look like? And I'll flick back and think, have I missed something? No, there's still no description. We've just got a person with a name, but nothing, no depth. I think that's what I like, depth in characters. And Sarah Waters' books has got those in bucket loads. Absolute bucket loads. And a use of words as well. You know, I like to think that I don't just... I remember I'd written one book. I can't remember which one it was. And I got a review on Amazon and it said, you can't tell me she uses those words every day. And I thought, why do we have to? Why, you know, why is it necessary that, especially the narration bit of it, why is it necessary that that person should use ordinary language? Why can we be stretched to think, what does that mean? I mean, I'm not averse to pressing my Kindle and find it, you know, press that word and find out what it means, because I think that's brilliant. If I can do that in a book, then I'm thinking this is a good book. I really do. I enjoy doing that because there's nothing wrong with expanding your knowledge, is there? Well,
not
I
at all.
don't think so.
It's the same way that we'd maybe look at, I don't know loads about forensics. There'll be bits that I could pick out in context. But really, how many people can say, and I know there are people that can, but how many people could say they'd pick up a book and they wouldn't have learned and been glad to have learned something about forensics or something about police procedure or all the different words, the different language that, and I wouldn't know them, I wouldn't use them in everyday life.
No. And the thing is as well, another thing that really, really winds me up. Why cannot people use Google if they don't understand something? What's wrong with looking it up?
I could understand if it was an awful lot of words and every other word was something that would make it really difficult. But in most things,
well, I
you
hope
could
nobody's
read
doing that
it, know it in context, and skate on past it, couldn't you? And go back afterwards if you needed to.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't like to gripe too much about what people do when they read.
As you like.
Yeah, it's, you know, there's so many different kinds of readers. You know, people want different things from books. You know, and I'll say, read the back. Always read the back. Or the case of the Kindle, you know, read the synopsis or whatever it is, the blurb, read the blurb. You know, again, I got another comment saying, you know, what the hell's this all about? It's two women. Read the back of the book, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Yeah, and your point is, you know, but is that worth a 1-star read?
No, of course not. What a nonsense.
Just because they can't be bothered to read the back of the book or, you know, the blurb. No, whose fault's that? But again, just a gripe. Nothing much. But generally, I've got lovely readers who, you know, are just wonderful to me. And I think, thank you very much. It's appreciated. You know, because there's enough crap out there, isn't there, without us, you know, really getting it for our hobby. Well, that's what it is for me anyway. It's just a hobby.
It's a very nice hobby. It's kept me entertained for a good few hours, your hobby.
Well, there is more.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. Right, going back up, scrolling through. TG, does the weather affect your writing? So obviously we're talking about gloomy, which I've decided is atmospheric instead.
No, I'm a good writer during the winter because, unfortunately, once the sun's out, so am I. And obviously, I can't write outside in the sun because the equipment won't do it to start off with. That would be my ideal, sitting outside during the summer and writing. But you can't do it because your screen won't allow you to do it.
You can't see, no.
So, of course, during the summer, and because I don't write at night, summer's a bit of a washout for me in the writing state, really. Obviously, on bad days when it's cloudy or what, which, let's face it, it is mostly, isn't it? You know, it's very rare we get a week full sun. And when it does, I take a week off and go outside and sit in the sun because I like the sun.
If I'm outside, I'm under an umbrella. I will always be pale. There's no way around it. I'm under an umbrella, or I'm the one that sits just inside or in the shade.
Yeah, Dan's the same.
Not being warm at all.
With her being a redhead, of course, she's very pale and just.
I do go a nice brown when I can be bothered, but I don't like no. I quite like the sun; it makes me cheerful, but I don't want to be in it.
Oh no, I love being in it. Absolutely love being in it. And if it's by the sea, so much the better.
Don't mind it by the sea.
Oh.
Although I did once go and visit my friend in Bristol, and why do I tell people things? I ended up with a really, really bad tan. It wasn't a tan, I was purple. I had purple feet.
Oh, God.
because it was overcast and I was on the beach and I didn't know any better. And people offered me sun cream and I was like, there's no sun. You only
Right.
make that
Be
mistake
sunny.
once.
Yeah, don't have to be sunny, especially
Yeah.
by the sea. No, I don't. I miss that. I really do. It's the one thing that I do miss in this lockdown. You know, I mean, we normally manage to get away for a week somewhere or whatever. But even that is just. Although I was lucky last year because we booked that week. You remember when we had the changeover from what they were doing and what they weren't doing? It was announced that week that we'd booked to go away and we were allowed to go. You remember the staycation thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we were going to one of those. We actually got away for that week and it was glorious. And then when we came back, we were straight into lockdown. So we haven't been out since. Well, I haven't. I haven't left this room since. No point. Nowhere to go. You know, it's just the pain in the backside. But the same for everybody. So
Yeah, it is. It's not been fun. It's not
no.
been fun for lots of people. Definitely not.
I feel sorry for the kids. I really do. They're having a really bad time. Me great niece has gone into blooming isolation again today. I'm sorry. I'm just looking for my other tissues. Oh, here they go.
You got them?
Yeah.
Not like I can pass you one, is it?
Sorry?
Not like I can pass you one. Sometimes I forget I'm on camera. TG, oh no, we've done that one. Sorry, Brenda Young wants to know when you decided that Kirsty Savage would be a series.
I'd decided before I'd started writing, once I swapped over to crime, I thought, I want to write books that hold people's attention for longer than the span of one book. And also I thought how much fun it would be to leave clues in the book you're writing to pass on to the next book, which I hope I've done successfully. So that people have got something to look forward to. You know, I enjoy that with other people's books.
Yeah.
So I just thought it would be something I could try myself. So I did.
Have you one of Kaz's? I don't want to ask this. No, one of Kaz's favourite questions is: do you have an end in sight, or do you at least know how the series would end if you ever decided to end it?
No,
but
no
good.
idea.
There we go. Can move on from that one. Sorry, Kaz. I don't
No,
want to know if there's an ending.
I'll tell you why, because I never know what my video's going to show. People will often say, you know, how do you plan your books? I don't.
It's
I
just
sit
whatever's
down
running on the screen in your head.
Yeah. And whatever I can see in my head, that's what goes down. Sorry, I've got to.
Yep, you carry on.
I've had a hell.
David wants to know how are the book sales going. Now, I never normally ask this.
I've no idea. I honestly have no idea. I don't look from the time somebody says how are the book sales going on till the next time somebody says how are the book sales going on. I think it's because it's something I have no control over. I mean, obviously, when I get my bank statement, you know, I run down to Amazon and see it. But that doesn't reflect, that only reflects what money you get. It doesn't reflect sales as such.
Yeah.
I managed to sell a few a month, which, you know, if that continues month after month after month, is not so bad. Obviously, promotion is horrific. You know, I can write them, I can let people know on social media, but a lot of older people don't get the book information from social media. And because I have a lot of older the ones I have on social media are older. they've always gone like via the daughter or via
So
the
word of mouth.
son or yeah. And you can't generate word of mouth to be as effective as a publisher and the way they go about it. You just can't. It's impossible. I know some people say, but it is possible. Yeah. If you're not infirm, if you're not getting on, it may be possible. If you're younger and you really stick at it and you flog it 24 hours a day, I can't do that. I'm physically not capable of doing that. So I don't want to do it. So hopefully, please keep everything crossed for me because irons are in the fire. And we'll have to hope that it pans out. Can't say anymore, sorry.
No, I know you can't say anymore.
Bit of a teaser, but it's just something I can't. I wouldn't be happy spilling my guts about this kind of stuff.
No, absolutely not. And I would never ever want to make anybody uncomfortable in an interview.
Oh,
never.
Impossible.
It's kind of the opposite of what I aim for.
You can't make anybody feel like that because you're not that kind of person.
No, and I'm not Parky. We're not doing, this is your life and getting deeply into things. As much as that's really interesting when we're off camera, it's not my thing. That's a friendship thing. That's not an on-camera thing.
Yes,
Quite
it is.
Different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, any other questions?
Oh, loads.
Oh, go on then.
I don't know what this question means. I wonder if you will. David's asking, Pat, you are familiar with life-turning events?
I'm familiar with what?
Life-turning events.
Yeah. I am, simply because of, what's happened. And, for people that don't know, I'm a double amputee. We don't know how it happened. It just did.
Okay.
Now, that might sound strange because people look at me smoking and, of course, I'm diabetic. So that's the first thing I asked, as you would. Is this because I smoke and I'm diabetic? And to quote the surgeon, he said, no.
It's a big quote.
So, yeah. And I went, really? And he said, no, we don't know what's caused it, but it's not following the pattern of someone who smokes who is diabetic. So he was obviously convinced that no, it wasn't that. So nobody knows. It's just, it came out the blue. I was disabled before I had the amputations. In 1979, a long time ago, we had a very, very bad winter. I'd got a job as for people who had left school. They had a scheme, and it was called life skills. And I'd got a very, very good job doing life skills with school leavers that hadn't got jobs. And I set off this day to work, and I'd got some brand new gear on. I'd been out and equipped myself with all winter stuff, trousers, boots, like Doc Martens, a whole lot. Came out, and it had come down so fast. We were walking in like 18 inches, 2 foot of snow, wading through it. Unfortunately, the gritters had been on strike for about 6 weeks before that.
Right.
So, of course, we'd had rain, ice, snow, compacted down, more snow, compacted down. I got to town, which is where we lived, in the town centre, at a place called George Square. Well, no, actually, Cow Green, which is above George Square. And some of the snow had blown away. And I put my right foot on the curb. It slid, but somebody had broken the ice up. So what happened? My boot hit the curb edging that was raised up because of the frost. My left leg slipped and I just carried on going forward. So my right ankle went snap, the bone shot out the front. And I'm laid there in the snow. I'm laid there in the snow, can't do anything. I had a friend with me. She ran on to tell my mum and dad, who lived just round the corner in the building society. And I heard this boom, 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 boom behind me. The next minute, wallop straight in the back of my head. Well, what the hell's that? And this guy had seen me out the window of the building, come running down to try and help me, but he slipped. He'd got hobnail boots on. He slipped and smacked me right in the back of the head. That hurt worse than my bloody ankle did.
Jesus, Pat.
So it took the ambulance about 3/4 of an hour to get 3 miles, 2 miles, something like that.
Yeah.
So they chucked me in the back of this ambulance and whizzed me off and made me happy with the gas and air, you know. And they kept moving. I've got the mask right like that, and I've got my arm over like that, so it wouldn't fall off.
Yeah.
And he kept going, you can't do that. Just hold it with one hand. Because, of course, when you go, it drops naturally, you see, away from your face.
And you're
so you don't get too much. Well, I wasn't having that. Every time he turned around, my arm went over. I thought, no, I'm not having that. But actually, to be fair, it wasn't unbearable, which is a good job, because we'd just eaten before we left. And, of course, they couldn't operate for 4 hours. So I'm laid there in the hospital with sort of one foot like that and the other like that. One foot was sticking up, you see, and the other one wasn't, because it was laid flat sideways.
Right, okay.
Because, of course, it was compound fracture and dislocation. So the whole thing had just twisted on itself. So Julie, my sister, bless her, she'd walk like miles and miles and miles to get to the hospital. She'd walk from work at Mixenden to town, and then from town onto the hospital. So she'd walk miles. So she came in and she stood at the side of me and she held my hand and she said, "You're right, Mac." Straight, because she looked at my foot. She passed out.
Oh.
So the nurses ran in and sort of hauled her up and what have you, brought her round. And then she sat down and held my hand and said, "You're right," and then passed out again and fell off the chair. So in the end, I just said, "Look, just stay outside." You know, you're going to bang yourself up if you carry on doing that. But as I say, there's amusement somewhere.
Somebody like you could inject humour into that.
Well, you've got to, haven't you? You know. So ups and downs, yes. So I limped from then on. I went to see my GP after, and I said, "I'm in awful trouble, you know, walking down steps normally, you know, one at a time. I used to have to go down one and then down another and bring both feet."
You didn't have the movement, I assume.
Sorry?
You didn't have the movement. You couldn't.
I didn't have a flex, no. And in his broad Irish brogue, he said, "Be bloody lucky you can walk at all, girl." because it was touch and go. So they were going to take my foot off, I think, at that stage. But the surgeon again said we had to rebuild it. I had to rebuild it from memory. He said I had no idea what the hell I was doing. In the end, he just put a screw all the way through and just screwed it all together. You know, they didn't have rods and all that kind of stuff then. He just did a big posi drive. I mean, it was like that. I've still got it somewhere. He gave it me in a plastic bag. Eventually, I had to go and have it taken out because it was unscrewing itself. So every time I walked past a chair or anything, you know, I'd catch it. So in the end, he said, and you know what, Sam? That hurt more than anything. Just having the damn screw out. It hurt worse than, you know, I'm there with the painkillers. It really hurts, you know. And it probably took longer to get over as well. I mean, I was up to my thigh in plaster for God knows how long, because they couldn't just put it round down to the ankle. They had to immobilise the whole leg. You know, they couldn't allow me to flex my knee or anything like that. So that were a bind, horrid, and walking with crutches, and so really, that was some kind of disability I had all the way through. Didn't stop me working. You know, it was just uncomfortable. And also, you know, a lot of standing and stuff like that. But I mean, my sister swears that that's what started it all off. And it just gradually got worse and worse and worse over the years. And that was the one that went first.
Right.
Just my foot just turned blue, and I went to the nurse's station and she did my pulse, and she said, well, you've got a strong pulse. And then I went into where the cubicles were, into a treatment room, and a Sikh doctor came in, you know, and he asked me what had happened, and I explained, and I said, the nurse had just done me pulse in triage, you know, and she says, I've got a decent pulse. And he looked at my foot, and he looked at my toe, which was then beginning to get a little black spot on it, which of course is gangrene. And he said, really? So, you know the things that they put on your finger?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He put one on my toe. And he said, I'll see if there's anything coming. Nothing. Not a thing. So that was the first. And the second one just happened. I came out. I've got my prosthetic for my leg. Got all that set up. Walking away in physio on it. Next thing, I woke up and thought, leg feels weird. And I felt, and my foot was absolutely frozen. Second one went within a week.
Wow.
So you can have life-changing events without doing anything drastic. What can you say? Shit happened. Oops.
I've told you, you're allowed to say whatever you want.
Well,
it's me that has to do
what
it.
I'm going to say is shit happens. You know.
I think you've earned the right to say that.
I don't really think about it. I know that might sound strange, but
well, no, because
you know, once
it
happened, it's happened. You can't do anything. You just find a way around things, or find different ways of doing things, and just get on with it. You know, I could sit and weep every day if I wanted, but why would I? You know, it
wouldn't achieve anything, would it?
No, it doesn't. Doesn't achieve anything
without
at all.
Sitting weeping all day.
I can't. Don't get me wrong, I go through depressions, but that's all they are. They're not manic depressions or really deep depressions. They're just periods of gloom. But so does everybody else. You know, it's not just down to me. Everybody gets stages like that, and you've just got to find a way to cope with it without it being unbearable. I mean, from 1980 to 1995, 96, something like that, I barely went out the house. It had brought on agoraphobia, the accident, being outside. It wasn't anything conscious, it just happened. I went to the bus stop one day to go to work, and the next thing, it looked as though all the buildings were just doing that and collapsing in on top of me. And I just sort of cowered and went into BSM behind me and said, look, can you phone this number and ask Denise to come and get me? Couldn't even get home. And it was only like 2-3 minute walk. And it was just horrendous. I've never known anything like it. So we had a period of little blue pills, known to the world probably as Ativan, that turned me into some kind of zombie.
Right, okay.
And I thought, I even had my mother coming down at lunchtime to check, at lunchtime, to check that I only had one tablet. Because if I took one tablet, I'd sit there and think I hadn't taken it, so I'd take another one. Well, given our on maximum dose to start off with, it's not something you want to do regular.
No.
So in the end, Denise would give me my morning and evening ones, and my mother would check and make sure that I only had one at lunchtime. So I couldn't get off those fast enough.
Yeah.
But of course, it left me with this awful thing. So I did gradual exposure. Started off with a minute outside, then 2 minutes, then 5 minutes. And that's how I learned to cope with it.
Yeah.
So for people out there that think there's no hope, there is. You've just got to find a way that suits your ability to cope. I mean, that probably wouldn't work for a lot of people, but it worked for me.
Sounds like good advice, though, a bit at a time.
I mean, I still get an odd one every now and again. If something happens very quickly, I'll sort of start, but not very often now. Not very often, which is good.
That's really good to hear. Yeah, of course it
is. And I think writing's a great distraction as well. So, as long as I'm doing that, I've never had a panic attack while I've been doing that. Never. Even if you had while you're reading it.
We've got more questions. Kaz has got a gripe. I hate when they don't put a description on the back of the book, says Kaz. I've missed a couple out there because I've been scrolling, but I spotted the word gripe and I saw Kaz, so I had to have a look what it was.
No, it's right though, isn't it? How are you supposed to know what the book's about? Going just by the title.
You
don't, do you? So you have to have some kind of
a guide, a hint.
Yeah, a hint of what it's about. I mean, I'm going to have to take care with this next book because it's called The Devil Within. And I don't want it sort of drifting its way over to sort of, witchcraft and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be people thinking it's in that category. But I've grabbed it because it's so descriptive of what's in the book. It's funny, I've never changed a title once I've decided on it. I haven't. My first publisher, they decided that they were going to change my title. I've tried 4 or 5 different ones and came back to mine. So I've never changed the title of the book. I wouldn't want to start now because I've got it in my head now. You know, that's what it's going to be called. So I don't know. If I ever do get a publisher, perhaps they'll think differently.
I don't know. I think reading the books and seeing the titles, I wouldn't change them. And I find titles quite a hard thing to come up with. I was quite pleased with the one in the anthology. For anyone who's not read Criminal Shorts, I very rarely plug it in an interview. But Criminal Shorts, my story was called 6 Pieces Each. And I was really, really pleased with that title. I'm still quite proud of it because I find them very tricky. Whereas yours are so, once you realise why they're called that, you might have an idea. I had an idea going in, but that moment of, you know, that crack and thump moment of, oh my God, that's why that's that title. Yeah, I like your titles a lot. I think I'm glad that you've automatically gone in with one that you're not going to change again, because it just, already I'm excited to find out why.
Yeah. Well, the first one worried me a little bit because not everybody knows the saying.
Right, okay.
You know, and I thought, are people going to realise that it's about revenge? Because
it would never have occurred to me that a dish best served cold wasn't a well-known phrase.
No, a lot of people have asked me, what did you call it that for? And they haven't, truly, they hadn't heard of it.
It would never have occurred to me that people didn't automatically know. Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Something that we just
and
take for granted.
Admit, it did cross my mind. And I thought, well, I'm just going to plump for it, you know. And they can always ask me, you know. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm on Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, if you don't know something, ask. I always answer, always, except Messenger.
I think that's where I have most of my conversations, Messenger, but
unless I know somebody, I'm not going to answer. What seems to be happening is that now when you get a new friend, it automatically opens up Messenger. Right. And a lot of people, especially if they come from Africa or America, think it's necessary to speak to somebody straight away. It's not. It's not. It's not a personal meeting. It's an idea meeting, if you know what I mean. Do they like my books? Is it something personal? You know? And it's normally the personal ones that end up coming on Messenger. And I always say the same thing. If you want to message me on my page, because everything that comes on my page gets an answer. If you use Messenger, I'm not going to answer it. You know, not unless it's personal to me. I mean, whether they start, I've had an odd mouthful every now and again, to which they've got an odd mouthful back. You know, but to me it makes sense. Why should somebody want to speak to me in private? I just find it suspicious.
I think I'm the opposite. I don't like to have public conversations. But then I suppose if it's a stranger, I don't know. I think for me it's quite different because all the admins will tell you we get lots and lots of messages. And it'll be requests for something or telling us about a new release or, you know, something like that. So it's become quite the norm for me.
Right. But, no,
different uses for
I just think that I know that they're going to build up to something. This is the problem. They want something, or they're posting naughty pictures, or something, you know, put it on my page.
I have changed my Twitter profile back to Samantha Brownlee instead of Sam, because lots and lots of ladies wanted to show me things. because Sam is considered a male name.
Funny, I got that a lot. No, it's true, really.
No,
Funny,
I can imagine. I can imagine, and I'm going to move us on because I can see this going down a slippery slope.
It will. Carry on. Move on.
We've only got 4 minutes left of our hour.
Oh, again.
It absolutely disappears. It really, really does.
It really does fly.
TG, I'm going to finish with this, and then we'll give everyone a quick reminder of book titles and what to go and look for.
Okay.
T says, having interviewed you this week, I'm still astonished at your resilience.
Oh, thank you.
She's a big fan. We all are. You know, we've got a soft spot for Pat Adams Wright in the book club. Not a secret. We think you're wonderful.
I find that really sweet. I really do. I mean, it's not. I like to get to know people, right? And I've got to say, and I'm not saying it because you're here and you're facing me. I've got to say, this book club has got to be the best that I've ever come across.
Agreed.
And that is purely because of the admins.
They're a fab bunch.
They're absolutely fabulous bunch. And, you know, I love all of them to bits. I really do. You know, I look forward to what they post. All the first in the series, all the 99p books. You know, it's good. It really is good. And to be fair, I don't think I've had a duff recommendation yet.
No.
So,
not one.
You know, that'll do me if I've got plenty of reading fodder, you know, cut price, then hey, you'll do me. But it's just, you know, carry on regardless, as they say.
Well, we do. We love it. And
yes.
We've got some really, really nice comments coming at the end. Sarah Leonard says, this was very enjoyable to listen to. Thanks, Pat. David Gilchrist, a great interview. I've loved it. Brenda Young, a very inspiring lady. This one must be from David. No other groups make you cheese scones. Yep, it is. I am eagerly awaiting these cheese scones now. Well, on that note,
my mouth is watering.
Thank you so many. Mine is thinking of it because you all praise them so much. Thank you so much. I've had a wonderful hour, and now I'm going to let you go and have your tea.
I know. I've never moved so fast. Not in the last 12 months, anyway. Quarter of an hour, get everything ready.